I've been sitting on the harbour wall this morning watching a small sailing boat trying to leave the bay. Every few minutes it would catch the wind and move confidently towards the open water, then the tide would push it sideways again and its progress seemed to disappear. From where I was sitting, it looked like a frustrating way to travel. But the sailor didn't seem frustrated. They simply adjusted the sail, waited for the next gust, and carried on. It struck me that life often feels a bit like that. We make plans, we work hard, we try to steer in the direction we want to go. And then something shifts. A job isn't what we thought it was. A relationship changes. Our health becomes a little more complicated. Suddenly we're reminded of something we'd rather forget. Most of what we care about is only partly within our control. I think we all know this in theory. We've heard the advice about letting go and focusing on what we can control. But knowing it and living it are very different things. Living it means sitting with uncertainty when there's nothing left to fix. I've been thinking about a friend who spent months preparing for something important. They worked hard, they did everything they could reasonably do, and in the end, it still didn't happen. Not because they failed, not because they weren't good enough, simply because life doesn't always cooperate with our plans. What I found quietly beautiful was what happened next. After the disappointment, they stopped fighting reality. They accepted that they had given what they had to give, and they allowed the result to be what it was. There was sadness in that, of course, but there was also relief. The relief that comes from finally putting down a weight you were never meant to carry alone. Later that afternoon, I found myself sitting with a mug of tea, watching the tide move slowly across the beach. The uncertainty was still there. The things we can't control hadn't disappeared, but somehow they felt a little lighter. Perhaps because so much of life's struggle comes from asking ourselves to carry things that were never ours to carry in the first place. We can't control every outcome. We can't control how other people feel. We can't control when life changes direction. But we can choose how we respond. We can choose our effort, our honesty, our curiosity, our kindness. And maybe that's enough. The people who seem to weather life best aren't the ones who've mastered control. They're the ones who've made peace with its limits. Not through indifference, not through giving up, but through a kind of gentle surrender. The sailor on the harbour this morning wasn't controlling the wind or the tide. They were simply working with what was there. And perhaps that's all any of us can do. Show up, do our best, and then let the tide carry the rest. I wonder if happiness has less to do with controlling life and more to do with learning how to travel with it. Until next time, keep wondering.